Sonke Gender Justice Network's Bafana Khumalo joins us in studio. And of course, the Sonke Gender Justice not being new to, firstly, ensuring that issues not just affecting female representativity, but also addressing gender issues in the country are really put front and center. Before we go any further, do you find it strange that a part of this fight has to come out of, just from an aesthetics perspective, has to come out of a man?
No, I don't think it should be strange. I mean, I think it should be a normal conversation that we have in the country, because gender issues are not just about women. They're about men and women. And as men, we have a greater responsibility to challenge ourselves and challenge patriarchy and ensure that there's adequate representativity in the country. In fact, one of the delegates in the conference yesterday argued women should not be 50%, they should be 50% plus, because that's the appropriate representation of the number of women in our country.
And certainly it is a position to be commended. Let's talk about this session that was held in Parliament yesterday. The Women's Charter. Not much is known about the Women's Charter. Of course, we often refer to the Freedom Charter. So perhaps if you can tell us more about key elements of the Women's Charter that you feel are being neglected.
Well, Kathy, I decry the point, and I made the point yesterday, that many people know the Freedom Charter. We celebrate the Freedom Charter. It's almost spoken of as the second Bible in South Africa. Strangely enough, the Freedom Charter was developed in 1955, whereas the Women's Charter was developed in 1954. It's a very important document because it began to outline what is the vision of the South Africa we want. And women who drafted this normative document had the foresight of thinking far ahead of their time. If you read that document, almost every second paragraph challenges South Africa to say, both men and women, we need to march side by side in order to address the challenges that we have. It really laid out how this should be achieved, which are the areas that we need to look at: the economy, representation, laws that were, oppressive to women, access to the franchise, and all of that. But even in that context, they were not just talking about themselves. They were talking about the whole community. And it's strange to me that such a document is not known. But as I argued yesterday, generally in society, we never take women's work seriously. We never reference it, we never acknowledge it. And this is an issue we need to fight, because that document is very important for our history.
As you say that, you also point us to a point that was raised earlier as we were commemorating the life of Umama Robert Sobukwe, that there is erasure of women, especially when we take a look at their role in politics. So as you make this call, are you making it solely to political parties, or is it a call that you're also making to government, which we know has a 50-50 representation, at least policy, but the effecting of it not really?
Yes, we're making it to government. In fact, we made a call yesterday. You know that there was a proposed bill that was seeking to advance gender equality and therefore calling for parity, which will then compel all the parties in parliament. At the moment, we need to concede that if it was not the ruling party, in fact, the numbers in parliament of women will be appalling. So we need to say, how do we hold all the political parties in the country accountable on this matter? How do we hold the private sector? When you look at the CEOs in our country, it's almost like we are pre-94. Very few women are CEOs, very few are chairpersons of boards, and I think we need to pass the Rubicon on those issues.
What would you say to people who perhaps approach this debate in the same way they would an affirmative action debate, that while such positions should be gained on merit and not necessarily that it should be gendered per se?
Yeah, I would actually argue that that argument is misdirected. If women could write such a document in 1954, for me it's not about affirmative action. Women have proved that they are capable, they have the quality of leadership that is required. If you look at the women who got into leadership positions since '94, almost most of them acquitted themselves well. We've had a few challenges here and there, but on the main, they've done very well. And I think for me, we are underselling ourselves as the country, because when we continue to focus on men as leaders, in a world where other countries are using all the resources that are available to them, including human resources, we can't compete with the world, because we really should change ourselves with all the skills, the enormity of the talent that is out there that women are displaying every day.
So given the fact that it's almost unquestionable that these skills exist within our society, what then are the challenges? Why are women, especially in politics, marginalized and almost prevented from ever assuming the highest office possible?
Yeah. Patriarchy. You know, we're still a patriarchal society. In spite of the laws, in spite of the commitment in the Constitution, the implementation even of those commitments is still lagging behind, because we still have men who are resisting that. If you look at the IEC lists that are submitted, you will see that women are higher up before the elections as people are campaigning. Come elections and the results come, then the lists are shuffled around. And who get compromised? It's women in many instances. So we need laws that will compel, if lists are submitted in the zebra format as it is proposed, that parties can't change at will simply to make another man come in and take over. We used to have about 4 premiers who were women. Today we have 1. You know, so we have regressed. We used to have mayors who are women in districts. Now those numbers are falling back. If you read the barometer that is produced by Gender Links, who follow this quite studiously, you'll find that actually we have taken a few steps back. And this is a big concern for us. All
right, and it certainly is an issue that we'll try and pick up more on. Thank you so much for your time on Newsnight. Sonke Gender Justice Network's Bafana Khumalo.